Now let's just continue building the framework for the character's head. So we've got a couple of loops built in here from the original profile that we built. Now let's just continue that process. And the next one that I want to build is from the nose down here, down the kind of nasolabial fold. You can see kind of the crease right here. And I want to build some geometry that goes from here all the way kind of down to the jaw. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to add a couple of lines down here. So we'll go ahead and just select the edge, maybe right here. Go ahead and chamfer that. And let's add two segments and kind of space those out a little bit. And let's go ahead and just manipulate those slightly, just to kind of shape those into the kind of the correct position here. And you can look from the front and from the side to kind of get your vertices positioned the way that they need to be. So go ahead and just move those around and match that jaw up a little bit better. And kind of space things out a little. Alright. So now I want to bridge together the geometry from the jaw, kind of right in here, up with the geometry of the nose. So again, I'm going to go ahead and take one of the edges that I have. In this case, I'll go ahead and take, I think, this edge. Alright. And let's go ahead and connect that up with, I think, probably this edge here is what we want to bridge together. Alright, so we've got those edges selected. Let's go ahead and now bridge. And you can see how that immediately creates a straight linear bridge between those with the settings that we last used. So we can always add more res later. Let's just leave it at 5 right now so that we can kind of shape this a little bit better. So again, from the front and from the side, we're going to go in and start to shape this. So we'll take these vertices and move these out here. And then these out as well. And so this front edge is going to be this fold, the front edge of this fold here. So we'll just kind of manipulate this. From the side, it's already pretty well defined. I'm going to pull this in a little bit. But from the front, you can see it's way off. So we need to come in and add that in. You can see how that kind of curves out and curves back in to this jaw. And we could take these points and kind of move those out as well. Alright. And so you can see what that looks like from the perspective view here. Okay. We can also start to take some of these points, which we haven't really moved around too much, and sort of just manipulate these so that you get, instead of coming straight across, you get more of a smooth curvature. Alright. So that will give you this geometry that flows from the kind of the top of the nose down. Alright. So the next thing we want to do is kind of start to create the framework around the eye. Not really the loops themselves, but just kind of the beginnings of the framework. So what I'm going to do is take some edges here, maybe 3 edges or so, and let's go ahead and take maybe 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and hold down Shift. I'm actually going to move these back just a little bit before I do that. And let's hold down Shift and pull these out just slightly. Pull them back a little bit. This is kind of the side of the nose here. And let's do that one more time. Okay. Let's go ahead and shape these just a little bit from the front view. So we can go ahead and pull those in a little bit tighter around the eye. Okay. And just kind of pull these in as well until you get something that's similar to that. Got to pull that in as well. Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to actually bridge again, but I want to bridge between kind of this edge right here, and let's bridge it over to, I think we want to do this edge right down here to create kind of this geometry down here. And it'll take some cleaning up, but let's go ahead and bridge between there. And we've got 5 segments. That's fine because we're going to go ahead and manipulate that. And so let's go ahead and drop this down kind of right over here from the side view. Okay. And we'll just kind of take this around in this fashion down here. So you can see we're kind of starting to block in that loop there where that eye is going to be. And we can come in from the side and move these points around. Okay, hit the minus sign if you want to kind of decrease the size of your gizmo there. And we'll just kind of pull these in and around. And you can see where we're starting to get a little bit more geometry in there and a little bit more of a look of how this is actually going to appear. Can move this in a little bit. Okay, from the front. Give you a better idea of how that's starting to come together. Okay, this black part is just kind of a shadow, kind of a up all night kind of look. So when we get that into 3D, it'll make a little bit more sense. But just think of this as sort of a shadowy kind of area, not necessarily a texture so much as not necessarily like a painted texture, but just kind of a darker area of the model. So we won't worry too much about that as far as the modeling of this goes. So don't let that distract you. It just kind of helps you, in this case, to define kind of where the eye geometry is. You can see we have an area between here that has no geometry, and that's fine. That's one of the things we're going to do once we get our framework done, is to actually come in and fill a lot of these pieces up and fill out the face. So this is the cheek. So like I said, it's going to tend to flatten out. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring this out in the areas that are inside here that aren't necessarily defined by a silhouette in the left or in the front. Okay, so I'll just kind of pull some of these out. Let's do the same thing for this cheek here. Just kind of pull that out, and so it gives it a little bit more fleshy volume there. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is kind of create the brow. Okay, so I'm going to skip a couple of edges here and connect this brow up maybe to this edge right up here. Okay, and let's go ahead and connect that up to, let's go ahead and connect it up to, I think we want to do it to maybe right here, possibly right here. Let me go ahead and undo that. And rather than this one, let's do the one right above that. So right where it kind of starts to change direction and go back, let's go ahead and use that one. So again, we'll go ahead and do a bridge. And 5's okay. We'll, if we need to, go ahead and add more resolution later. But we just want something that we can go ahead and manipulate here. So I'll go ahead and take these vertices and kind of just move them. And we get my left-hand view back. Go ahead and move those into position from the left and from the front. So we'll kind of just move these up over here. All right, and this guy as well. And then from the side, we need to kind of move those out to create that sort of volume there. Okay, so we'll just kind of move those out. If you need to, you can kind of make that a little bit wider to kind of match up with what we have, and maybe we can actually delete the edge that's right above that if we need to. Okay, so you keep your geometry fairly flexible at this point still, and then we can come in and start to kind of manipulate these points around so that they kind of match up with where we want our brow to go. Okay, and so you can see we're starting to get this area closed in for the eye. Right, so we're starting to get some geometry closed in there so that we can begin to create some loops in there, right? Okay, and you also notice that I'm only building on one side, and that's because if you've done any character modeling, a lot of times what you want to do is create, if you're creating something symmetrical, you'll create one side of it and then mirror that over to the other side. So it kind of gives you a little bit less to worry about. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take the top of the nose here and just kind of move this in so that we get kind of a thinner part of the nose there. So go ahead and shape that a little bit. Okay, we're again staying fairly low res at this point so that we're able to come in and move these points around with not a lot of worry about changing shapes and things like that. Alright, so we're starting to get the framework built in. I think in the next lesson we're going to go ahead and continue on with this by working on the kind of the lips, and we'll start to kind of have to add a little bit more resolution. We'll look at adding the lips and maybe a little bit more work on connecting some of these pieces up. And so we'll just continue on with our framework of our character in the next lesson.